Yes, right, so it's about 1 degree. I've got my scarf, got my hat, I've got my gloves on. I've got my socks tucked into my trousers, and you know, typically if I'm working normally here, I wouldn't be getting cold, but because I'm talking to the camera most of the time, I'm going to be suffering a bit. And the reason why I'm making this video is because I'm getting a lot of questions, either by new window cleaners starting up, or window cleaners that have been around for a while and they're either going back to using their Liquidator or they're trying the Liquidator for the first time. So that's great news that after 6 years of, I think it's been 6 years since the Liquidator come out, more and more window cleaners are realising the benefits of using the Liquidator and using nothing else. And bear that in mind, nothing else, because nothing else compares to a Liquidator. So in terms of what it can do and how effective and how efficient it is. So before I talk about anything to advise with people using the Liquidator, because I'm getting lots of questions from people lately, the last month or so, I want to quickly tell you, I've only told a few people this, what made me come up with the Liquidator shape in the first place. That's this shower squeegee here. See the ends here are taken in. That's what inspired me back in 2009, before I even knew about YouTube, before I even had internet access in my house. That was what inspired me to start thinking about, well, let's change window cleaning squeegees for the better. So I had all the squeegees that I have been using from the website that I bought all my tools from. I pretty much bought everything because I thought I needed everything, and you know, I soon realised that most of the things I was buying was just a waste of money. But nevertheless, I bought and experienced everything. Now, before I talk about what I do and a good foundation to work on, bear in mind that most window cleaners you see on YouTube, they have a favourite for a while, squeegee, and then they'll change their mind and they'll start using this squeegee and they'll start using that squeegee, and they'll rotate. Right, so to me, that is a sign of someone saying, well, I just don't know what's the best. I don't know what's the best. Now, I don't need to rotate because I co-invented with Mormon the most efficient and effective squeegee based on how I work. And how I work is completely different to how everybody around the world, and on YouTube, primarily YouTube. Let's talk about YouTube here, because we are on YouTube. It's easy to use examples of YouTubers because everybody who are watching window cleaning videos know what I'm talking about. They rotate. I don't need to rotate because I've got the best. If I've got the best to work with, suited to my conditions, to how I work, I don't need to rotate. I don't need to chop and change because I've got the best, and the best will always be the best. And the best is zero detail results on the pane. Now, you get window cleaners talk about, well, zero detail, it doesn't really exist, does it? We're talking about pane, we're not talking about window. I can't invent a tool that's going to eliminate all the solution, because the solution's got to go somewhere. Unless we had a vacuum cleaner type cartridge to suck up the solution when you're squeegeeing, which probably, you know, is not going to be ever be implemented in professional window cleaning. But I can, and I have for the last, let's say, 6 years, been getting zero detail results using tool and technique alone. So going back to YouTube, window cleaners as a rule, what separates my YouTube channel to everybody else? Well, I'm probably the most unpopular window cleaner to watch because I point out everybody's flaws, and every squeegee that there is out there flaws. I just point it out. It's the obvious truth, and lots of people get offended by it, or how people work. But what really separates my channel to everybody else is my channel is I'm only interested in two things on my channel: tool, technique. Nothing else to do with window cleaning. So if you're not into tools and techniques, then my YouTube channel is not important to you. Everybody else talks about window cleaning in general, but I'm not interested in pricing, I'm not interested in getting work, I'm not interested in doing this, that and the other. I'm interested in two things: being the most effective and being the most efficient. But until you're the most effective, don't even contemplate thinking about being efficient, because if you're not effective first, you'll never be efficient in my eyes, because you'll be sloppy. Now I'm going to try and teach the window cleaners that are just starting off, because I'm getting lots of questions from people, especially new startup, or people who are just reverting over to a Liquidator, the best way of working, because the Liquidator is great at doing one thing if you're not programmed to work or be evolve and adapt window cleaners. So most window cleaners will never evolve and never adapt. They just work the same way year in, year out. No matter what season it is, they just work the same way. They plod along, and they work longer, harder style, and they get less results every single time. So, you know, people ask me questions. I can't refer back to the videos that I made back in the past, because I know I've made that video to answer that question, but I don't have the time or the inclination really to dig out that video. So if I make a brand new video, then you can, you know, whoever's interested in watching and learning, and I'm only going to talk about bog standard groundwork level, nothing intricate, nothing technical, just the best foundation to work on. So yeah, this video might not appeal to everybody, but you know, I've got better things to do than to freeze my knuckles off or sit down and find out when did I make that video to answer that person's question. If I just get this video done, then I can get on with my music production, which is what I want to do, not make window cleaning videos these days. So let's get on with to answer as many questions as possible, as quick as possible. So I've got 3 washers. I've got a washer here, which I'm going to use a soap water mix. I've got soap added to the bucket of water there with a washer in, and I've got my washer in my third washer here. Right, so let's talk about a foundation real quick. To build a house, you want to build a house on real firm foundation. So if you don't build your house on real firm foundation, the house will subside and it will collapse. So if you build your house on sand, or let's say in a swamp, you've got very good chance of that house not being there very quickly. Right, so people say, well, I can't do the things that you do with a squeegee. Of course you can't do the things that I do with a squeegee, because I've had 2 things in my favour. I've had a real firm foundation to work on for the last, since 2009. So if you've got a real firm foundation to work on, you can build your skill base up very, very quickly and very, very highly. So if you're trying to, well, don't try and emulate what I do with a pole or in the hand. Just listen to what I say, because if you listen to what I say, you'll get much further, much quicker, without trying to copy the things that I do, because I don't really do straightforward bog standard things, but in this video is as an exception. So it's to teach, and that's probably the best skill that I have, is to teach. And I teach by pointing out everyone's flaw, and I taught, or flaws, or what squeegee's flaws that every other squeegee has, because this is the most efficient, most effective, and the most adaptable and most versatile squeegee ever produced. And that really annoys a lot of window cleaners. But you know, let's just be straightforward and honest. And if you don't accept that, that's great, and it probably is true because you don't work on the level that I'm working at. But if you just listen to what I say, and then you'll just implement a few things differently, then you'll find that this is the most efficient, most effective, most highly versatile squeegee ever produced. And you won't need to rotate your tools ever again, because you'll be using the best tools, because you'll be working on the next level of window cleaning. Right, so this is what I don't do. I don't add water and soap mix to my squeegee, washer I should say, and then start squeegeeing. Although that's nice and soapy, okay, and I've got a lot of control, there's no drips there, the problem is that is very thin, and if it's very thin, it's going to dry very quickly, especially if this window is dirty, and especially if it's a really hot sunny day. That is not a good foundation to work on. And a good example why not to work like that is to watch, let's say, a window cleanse, or anybody who relies on a squirt bottle in their videos, 100%. If this was saturated and this had a lot more soap in there, saturated and dipped in a bucket of water, then I sprayed it on top, then I've got much more chance of being successful with the Liquidator. And window cleaner is a good example to watch, because when you look at his window cleaning Liquidator series, it was called, you find all the mistakes he was coming up against, because this tool will point out all the mistakes you're making, and you will suffer with a lot of problems, because it's great at picking out all your, let's say, bad habits. So I don't use that, and I don't use soap added to the glass, soap added to the bucket of water. Although this is nice and saturated, much more saturated than that, it's loose and it's heavy. What do I mean by loose? Well, it's not static, that's static. The solution that I use, the solution method that I use is static. This is loose and it's heavy. I can squeegee this, okay, but I'm not going to get the best of glides, I'm not going to get the best of control, and I suppose that's the best way of summing it up. You don't get good control with this squeegee, and you don't get good control with this because the soap solution's too loose, too sloppy, and you've got more chance of making mistakes. Now, anything other than zero detail on the glass, to me, is a mistake. So if you've got a little bit of soap somewhere on the glass, that's a mistake. So how do I eliminate those mistakes? So first of all, let's look at the squeegee. Is that rubber dead center? Is there any end clip showing past the rubber? No, that looks fine to me, nice and aligned. How do I make sure it stays aligned? I'll put a little paper clip each side here, and it's firm. If I drop it, the rubber will still stay in the right place. Okay, so the squeegee is all set up, primed. The squeegee rubber is wet, because if the squeegee rubber wasn't wet and I started saturating the glass, then I've got a problem with a little bit of drag or a little bit of pull. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add soap to the window. I don't really add it to the washer, because I use one of these caps where you push it down and it stays closed. Quite often the fluff in the washer gets trapped in here, so you're going to lose the fluff. So saturated washer, how do I saturate it? Well, two ways: either in a bucket of water, or and dip it right in, or under a tap, run it under a tap. So this is just box standard dish soap. You don't need any professional soap. If someone did design a soap that was actually effective, as in what we're looking for as being an effective soap, I want suds that shrink, I don't want suds that stay static or expand. And the problem with dish soap is it's like kind of static. So if you soap up with a real saturated washer, you're going to get soap on the frames here, and also you're going to get drips as well. But how do I avoid as much as possible drips? So first of all, let's talk about the strong foundation to work on. Let's rub that in. Can you see the difference between the other two solutions that I use? Can you see how thick that is? That is a thick solution. That is a well controllable solution. So I've got two things: I've got thickness, I've got well controllable, I've got great glide. That's three things, and I've got very little drip. That's four things. That's four things I've got better already, a better foundation to work on than having a sloppy solution or having a thin, weak solution to work on. And if it was 30-degree heat, because it's saturated, it's got less chance to dry as quick as the squirt bottle. So that's why I don't have any problems working 35-degree heat. My way of working doesn't change in the fact that I add soap to the glass and I rub it in. What changes is how I implement my squeegee technique. Now, I always use two hands when I'm working on the ground. If you're using one hand, you're working longer, harder, slower, getting less results. If you're using the washer and wipe like this, or if you're using a combination tool in one hand, you're working longer, harder, slower and getting less results. Even if you're using an accelerator 2, the washer over the top or underneath, you're still working one-handed. So straight away you want to be working two-handed, because you've got more control and you'll be working quicker and better straight away. Right, so yeah, so this solution, I could list endless amounts of reasons why this solution is more superior in terms of how I applied it compared to in the soap, in the water, or with the soap in the bottle. But 4 is enough for this video. Right, so I've got this great solution to work on. Static, stable. So if that's stable, my technique's going to be stable. Right, what else do I need to get this window cleaned in the least amount of time with the most effect possible? Right, so this is the largest squeegee that I've got currently on me, and because this is the largest window that I'm going to work on, and it's typically going to be way over half the length of the width of the window, this is the most optimal squeegee to work on. So all the window cleaners on YouTube who say you just need one window squeegee to work with, well, in the UK we have lots of different size windows. I've got 2 here that I should be showing you on the camera, but you probably can't see from there. So I use a selection of tools for the right size pane to work, because I work a certain way, and I work tool and technique alone, and I don't need to touch up the mistakes on the glass, and that not only makes me a more effective window cleaner, that makes me a whole lot quicker as a window cleaner too, because I'm working less hard to achieve a high quality result. But you could be a faster window cleaner than me, and if your standard is not going to be to the standard of my sort of finished result, then to get to that finished result as high as mine, then you will be 2 or 3 times slower overall over a job. Because if I'm looking at being the most effective, getting the most effect out of my work, and I'm going to use tool and technique. I'm going to use 2 hands. I'm going to use the most precise, most efficient squeegee. I'm going to use the highest quality foundation to work on. I've got that in the bag. Now all I've got to do is make sure that window, let's say it's a dirty window, that window is going to be washed, not squeegeed, washed quicker than any other way of working. So what do I need to do? I need to clean this window twice before I start squeegeeing. So what do I mean by cleaning this window twice? So if I saturate this window twice, then I've got more chance of taking that dirt off that window quicker than if I just did it once or did a double-handed technique. So what do I mean by cleaning this window or washing the window twice? So great foundation to work on. Let's wash the window once. Okay, so I've washed it once. Now I'm going to squeegee over the top, and I'm going to wash again twice. So let's go back to what other window cleaners have said over the last 10 years. What window cleaner don't forget about 0 detail results. What window cleaner has ever said clean the window twice? 0 window cleaner has talked about cleaning the window twice. Every single window. That's just on a maintenance clean. If it's a really filthy window, then you're going to start rubbing things down, you've got to start getting your wire wool out, you've got to start getting your scraper out. But maintenance clean twice or wash twice, then squeegee over the top. Because if I'm going to wash this window twice, kind of like in one go, then I've got more chance to remove all the crap that's on that window off one time. Not only one time with the wash and wipe, but I'm not going over, get the right tool here, I'm not going over the same place twice unless I make a slight mistake or there's a sort of an imperfection somewhere. So what do I mean? Why? Because I've got this very firm foundation to work on, that allows my squeegee to travel once in one part of the glass, and it doesn't need to go over again because I've sucked all the dirt off that glass because I'm washing the window twice. Okay, so just put the squeegee in the right place at the right time once. So I'm squeegeeing once, but I'm washing twice. Okay, so, and what I'm not doing is this, because now I'm only washing once. Now I can wash once now on this window because it's already been cleaned, but that is not an efficient way of working. You might be working quicker, but it's not effective. So if it needs to be effective, then you have to go that extra mile. But you can get a load of time savings by using the right foundation to work on, by zero detailing, putting the squeegee in the right place at the right time. So overall, I'm working a lot less hard, but I'm getting a much more higher effect. Now, I don't want to criticise other window cleaners on YouTube. It's so easy to show all the flaws and talk about all the flaws that other window cleaners do, you know, that just aggravates people and causes a lot of hate. Now, I'm pretty much finished with YouTube and window cleaning. I'm on to the next stage of my life, and I'm doing something now that I've always wanted to do. Window cleaning has allowed me to do the great things that I'm doing right now, but you know, I've still got a high passion for cleaning windows and being the most efficient and the most technical and the most effective and whatnot, and had the privilege of making the most efficient and effective, most versatile and adaptable squeegee that's ever been thought of. And it all stems from this squeegee here back in 2009, way before I knew about YouTube. I didn't come to YouTube until probably about 2013-14, and that was after the discussion with a guy called In-Wing Blades through email, and that was the reason why I came to YouTube, because first of all I had a better way of working, secondly I had this great tool that I really wanted to invent. I had all these modifications on these existing tools that I had all the tools under the sun. At the time you could buy, I had them all, and I modified them all, and I made them all work more effectively and more efficiently. No, it's you know, I'm fortunate that I came to YouTube, showed different ways of working, because I just basically do everything differently to everybody else, solely concentrating on tools and techniques, forget about everything else to do with window cleaning, just wanting it to be the most efficient, the most effective, the most technically skilled, the most knowledgeable when it comes to using squeegees, and that's what I stuck with. And if you stick at doing something that works right time after time after time, you know, you're going to become an expert in whatever field you study or try to emulate, whatever you want to do. I stuck to window cleaning, and that's, you know, I've got to a very high level window cleaning in a very short amount of time. So when people say, you know, I've got 30 years on your 13 years, Polzn blades, you've got 30 years of working longer, harder, slower and getting less results. I had 18 months of working longer, harder, slower and getting less results, until I found that soap method. I have a really firm foundation to work on, and then having a shower one day and seeing a beautifully shaped squeegee channel, thinking, why is no other squeegee being shaped like that when we're all working on rectangle, right angle windows? Why on earth has nobody ever come up with a squeegee that just fits perfectly in the corner? So yes, wash the window twice, use the most efficient and effective tools, add in the soap to the glass. These are all the basic foundations to work to make you into a window cleaner that's going to be far excelling any other window cleaner in your area and actually across the globe.